All right, welcome to another Katasa Healing Talk. And today we continue our series about the ancient teachings that have been forgotten by the masses and are now being brought back. And we are taking those from Kay's book. She writes in the Weavings, her latest book. She writes in the Weavings about all those teachings. And today's talk is about, and let me find that so I don't scramble it, to honor the body, mind, feelings, emotions, and spirit, and utilize them together as one sacred unit whose energy flows and expresses freely through all these vibrations. My name is Helmut. I am here again with our beautiful, beautiful friends, the Laura Ketty and Laura Philpott. Hi, guys. And beautiful furry companion. Hi. And of course, Kay Codell Whitaker. Hi, Kay. Kay's the author of The Reluctant Shaman, Sacred Link, and the book I just showed you. There's a link to that book on Amazon in the description. And if our talks inspire you, please like, comment, share, subscribe, all this good stuff, and post questions if you have any. All right, Kate, let's get into it. Have fun.
As always.
Yeah.
Well, we've got all these things that we think of as separate, different components of who we are or what we are, with our body and our mind and our emotions and our spirit. And with the ancient teachings, they say they're not separate. These are not separate things. And what we hear from the main culture is that things need to be balanced. You have to have a balance, and all these different components need to have balance. But they're thinking in terms of each one separately needs to be balanced. You don't usually hear much about how all of these different aspects of your being need to be balanced together. And they most certainly don't ever talk about what the word balance means. What does it mean to them? What does it mean to the public? And when you're looking from a more technical, material, scientific kind of a view, balance is something where you have a scale, and there's bad falling apart over here, really good over here, and you need to be perfectly right there in the middle, and that's the balance point. And you have to stay there. You want the measurement of whatever you're measuring to be right there in the middle and not move. When we think about that, what does that feel like? That feels like something, like an idea that's very, very mechanically based, an understanding from a machinist's point of view. The body is a machine, and we definitely aren't some kind of mechanical machine. We need to have balance in all these different separate pieces, as they talk about them as separate. But when you get into spiritual teachings, and especially Katasi, the really ancient way of thinking, these are aspects of ourselves that are alive and dynamic. and they're always moving. They're always juggling around, and balance means not just that one center place, but it means everything's moving, everything's alive. It has to move or it won't be alive. If it doesn't move, it's stagnant. It's stagnant, it's dead. What what happens in nature to stagnant water? It begins to die, and you have unwanted things trying to grow in the middle of it. You can't drink it. It doesn't do anybody any good because it's become poisonous. It's stagnant. It loses its um, things that it has collected, like oxygen and electricity and sunlight and the elements from the earth, uh, from the thoughts, from everything that is around it. When the water is alive, it's moving. It's in a dance. It's in a constant dance. All these different aspects and things that it has collected become this extraordinary dance, and they're dancing their balance. They're making everything work just right. A little bit more of this, and then it's too much, and then it goes down, and that comes up, and in volume, and uh, it's the dance. This is what we are. This is what the whole universe is. This is what the water is, what the air is, what the space is. It's 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 alive, and it's moving, and it is constantly dancing itself into a balance. What does that what does that mean for us? What does that tell us when we look at it, when we feel into it? Not the kind of thoughts that we have stashed away with all of our blind beliefs and that we've been taught all our lives in school and the books. And that's all word stuff, linear material. It doesn't include all these other aspects, doesn't include anything that is emotional, doesn't include the feelings, it doesn't include the spirit, doesn't include the spirit gifts, spirit senses. And that's who and what we are. Those are that's what we are. They are our tools. They are um, how we come into this world equipped with all these different aspects of ourselves, with this incredible aliveness, this consciousness that we can purposefully aim in any kind of direction, and we can feel into. With our consciousness, the whole arts of feeling. It's not just through the spirit, through the physical senses. It's through the spirit senses. It's through the emotions. The physical senses and the emotions are doorways to the spiritual. These senses that we have in the physical, uh, and our emotions, our feelings of all these different things, uh, love and delight and joy and fear and anger and curiosity, and passion, all that kind of stuff. These are these are things that we were born with, but we have to nurture. We have to educate these systems within our physicalness. Before we're born, we are spirit, song. We have a very different kind of life, different kind of senses, different kind of sensibilities. And when we get born into a physical life, we we need to be bringing some of those sensibilities, some of those ways of being and learning about the world with us. That's what the spiritual is all about. Bringing at least some of those things with us and using them while we are here in the physical world, with our physical body, in union, in balance, in a balancing dance with the physical senses, with our thinking, how we teach our brain how to think and what to think about, how to use your thoughts, your thinking power. This is all part of this balancing dance of who and what we are. This complex mixture. And this is what makes us human. This is what makes us very special. And this is what makes us sacred. And your humanness, this this balancing dance, the use of all the physicalness, the emotions, the senses, the spirit senses, the spiritual awareness, our whole consciousness. This is what it means to be human and developing our humanity. And if we don't take care of it, it gets out of balance. The dance falters. It gets more and more stagnant. And when it gets stagnant, everything atrophies. It's like if you've ever broken a bone and you had to have a cast, like on your arm or your leg, and that cast is on a long time and you can't really do much exercise. You can't certainly exercise that spot because your bones are trying to grow things back together and the cast is trying to keep it really, really frozen and still so it grows straight. When we do that, we take that cast off and our our muscles have atrophied. They've they've started to wither. You've lost a lot of cells. When something atrophies, something physical, you're losing a lot of cells so that whatever that muscle is, organ is, it's getting a lot smaller. It gets very weak, gets extremely limited in its flexibility and its capabilities. It's atrophied. Its abilities to function in its normal capacity and dance with the rest of everything has diminished greatly. And in the modern culture, we see that with everything around us and what we do and how we treat our bodies, how we treat our emotions, how we treat our thoughts. We've learned how to not have any reverence, any respect, any honoring of any of these physical attributes and the spiritual part of these attributes. It's not like this the spiritual part of you and your life is something that's out there. that maybe you'll meet someday. It's it's part of everything that you are. It's part of every cell. It's part of every drop of fluid within your body. It's part of all your energy and the electricity and the sunlight and the waters, the air that you breathe, the oxygen you breathe in. It's part of everything. And it all has to be in balance, and it has to be moving, and it has to be sharing with each other. That's that's one thing that in this dance of balance that isn't just uh, well, I need more meat, or I need more salad, or I need more of this mineral, or that's a very mechanical way of looking at it. That dance is so much more beautiful and intricate and delicate and complex, and it involves everything about our physicalness, which includes the spiritual aspect of ourselves. We are our spirit, we are our physical body, we are our emotions, we are our thinking apparatus. Some of it is physical matter within the physical body. Some of it is energetic in a field that our body is part of, that extends out from your body. We've all heard of a human aura and um, chakras and the energies of the body and how they're flowing, and s- that's where that's where a lot of these different things are happening, where they start happening, where they start manifesting into the physical world, become part of our system, is this spatialness out here and inside. And within that spatialness, that's where the beliefs are. That's where the thoughts are. And then these things are all part of our balancing dance. And they're all part of our aliveness. We need to honor and respect and keep sacred all these things, these aspects of who and what we are. The last video we talked about a lot about the physical part of honoring our body, honoring the physicalness, which we definitely need to do because we're trashing it with everything that every from every which way. We are trashing our physical body, but we are also trashing all these other aspects. We're trashing the emotional stability and uh, abilities of that emotional part of ourselves, the mental part. We've we've really made a mess there. Uh, That's kind of where we store all of our blind beliefs, all the programming, all this nasty, nasty social programming full of corruption. That's where we're storing it in the mental capacity, which is within these within the space, these spatial areas outside and inside. We have connectedness that connects us and our parts all together. And it connects us to all the other things in the world. Everything, every tree, every plant, every animal, every rock, every grain of dirt and sand and dust and uh, everything, everything. out, way out into space through the whole universe. We are connected deeply. This is an intimate, intimate connection to every part of our being, to everything that's out there and that's communicating. It's alive and conscious, and there's all kinds of things, movements going on, and sharing, and so much love, so much love, so much beauty, so much activity, so much dance, so much passion and poetry in all of that aliveness. And that's what we're supposed to be doing too. That's what we're built to do. That's our consciousness, our whole consciousness, which includes the physical body. A lot of people think of consciousness as just being something airy fairy, spiritual, non visible kind of a thing. But our consciousness is all the way through us and part of us. And to honor all these different parts and pieces, we have to think of them as being really sacred, being divine, being holy, carrying extreme power. And that's what we are. That's who we are. We have great aliveness like the entire universe. We've blocked it all out. And that's one of the things that we have to change within ourselves is all the things we blocked out. We blocked out so much emotional stuff and the depths of the emotions. Block it right out. We've blocked out a whole lot of possibilities of different thoughts, different uh, things that we perceive and sometimes possibly think of a little bit here and there, but we shove it right out of our minds because it doesn't fit the modern culture picture. It doesn't fit the programming. So we've made a mess with these the way we think and what we're holding in our mental capacity with these blind beliefs and our our idea of who and what we are and our history and what the world is. And all of that blocks the real world out so that we don't perceive the real world. We're seeing a picture, a make believe picture of all this false information from all the false beliefs and the programming that we sucked up for our whole lives. It is corrupt. It is very, very corrupt. Right now, we're getting a whole lot of view of what's corrupt outside of us. If, if you watch anything that has any kind of news on it on your internet or whatever you're tuned into, we can see corruption being exposed um, in grand style. It's just utterly, utterly huge how much corruption has been going on in all of our culture, in our institutions, in our government, in our the different branches of government, the major institutions that we have, education, religion, science, technology, money, economics, everything. The corruption's everywhere out there. And that is just a reflection of corruption that we have learned to carry inside of ourselves. And the leader of the pack is, is our is our mental apparatus, the way we think and believe, and what we have come to believe, and how we construct that into a finite mental structure that we live by and we believe by. And that's how we perceive the world out there, how we perceive everybody else, and how we perceive ourselves, everything about ourselves. And for most people, um, the way they perceive themselves, they've been taught to not think very highly of themselves, to think that they are less than others and less than what they're supposed to be. And they live that out. Think about that. That's, they hold that belief and they live it out. They make sure that it happens, that they keep that belief about themselves, and that that is what the other people, all the other people out there who see them or interact with them, how they think about the person, how they think about you. We are creating our own interior imaginary world. We're creating the true greater world out there. We we create our reality, and we need to bring things back into our lives, aspects that we threw out. The culture has helped us, designed us to throw it all out, throw it away because it's nonsense, it's fairy tales, it doesn't matter, it ruins everything, etc., etc. And that's corruption. That's the corruption we have inside. We're seeing the reflection of it outside. And like I said with the last video, uh, a very big influence on us that helps keeps us trapped and keeps our balancing dance falling apart instead of balancing and dancing and having passion and love and fun and beauty. That's what we eat, what we breathe, what we drink, and what we put on our bodies. And then the different things that we put, all around us with our bodies end up touching, like cleaning materials, industrial materials that are, just everywhere, ubiquitous these days. We need to be honest with ourselves as to what's that's doing to us and how that blocks out the emotional, our emotional depths, our emotional abilities. It blocks out our thinking depths and abilities, and the breadth of things that we can think of, because we're only allowed to think in this little box of beliefs. Blocks out the spiritual almost completely. Most people just don't have a clue of anything spiritual, non-material, non-linear going on around them, and how much they are a part of that non-physical. That is a huge part of our beingness, our song. So that's what that bullet point means on, I don't know if it's on page 5 or 6 or 7, somewhere, somewhere in there in the Weavings book. That's what it means. We need to honor it. We need to bring back the sacred. And this understanding that we are all these parts and pieces that aren't parts and pieces, they are one whole. They're different functions, different aspects of who and what we are. And they're incredibly sacred. All of them, even the physical, which has been the brunt of modern culture's degrading of what humanity is. They've really they've really put down anything physical, but they don't stop there. They diminish our ability to have emotions and why we should have emotions or not have emotions, or they think we shouldn't. And thinking, only being able to think in a certain way is in the small little program, pre-programmed box that we've been given of blind beliefs. And then, of course, deny everything spiritual. They don't want us to go there. When we get the fullness of all these different aspects back, we get we in our song, us, we get control, full control of all these aspects, and learn about what are the depths of our emotions and what does that mean? Where do they go? What are the depths and breadths of what we can think, and, and be able to understand and manipulate mentally? What are the depths of our spiritualness, of all this non-linearness and the connectedness and this love and this beauty and the passion, the aliveness, the consciousness? When we're able to take control of that, that is our human power. All of the powers that we have been born with that are quite extraordinary, some of which we haven't even touched, we haven't even tried to tinker with yet. That's part of who and what we are. We have the potentials in us, and they're not atrophied. They're there. We just have to aim our attention there. All those things become available to you. They wake up, they become an awake part of your beingness and your daily life. And the ancients say we are so incredibly powerful and we don't have any idea of it. And the aliens say the same thing. They say, I am very sad for you humans. I feel sorry for you because you don't know who you are. You don't have any idea who you are, what you are, and you have no comprehension of what potentials you actually have, which are very, very extraordinary. And I think that because of what they say and the way they say it makes me think that our potentials are are even greater than some of their potentials for some of these races. And we've all heard fairy tales about um, the fairies or the angels or the gods that came from the sky, and all these different sorts of storylines who have these just magnificent powers, abilities to do all these things with their own consciousness and body and their physicalness without the help of technology. They could do it. They could do all these things. And they talk about it. They say that the stories say that they were here. They saw these people doing these things, showing the humans and trying to teach the humans. That's what's in those ancient teachings. That's what's in the practices. That's who we are, what we own, what we can do, what the power is that we actually have. Many super abilities, and they're ours. But there is a faction out there of corruption that would like us to not have any of it because they'd like to keep us slaves. And that's where we are today. We need to wake up. The whole humanity, whole human race needs to wake up and discover the real truth of who and what they are and what that dance is, what that power is. And when you put more humans together and more humans that are waking up and they all know this, they know and feel and can operate at least some of these powers, that makes a humongous, powerful force. And if we want to end the corruption that is out there in the world, that is in us, this is where we need to go. This is what we need to do. We need to all individually wake up. We need to wake up as a mass, as humanity, and take our power back. Take the beauty back, take the love back, take the passion back, and the aliveness and the fun and the drive of aliveness. We need to take it back. It's just time. The ancients said this is the time, and we're able to do it. So I say, let's do it. Let's go for it. What do you, ladies and gentlemen, have to say about that?
Thanks, Kay. Hot stuff.
I can go first, unless Laura is. Okay. Well, as a student of these teachings, um, sorry about the lawnmower going on. uh, uh, I love that the first questions are, who are you? What are you? And that you're starting to change your perception of who and what you are, not what our society would have us believe. And as you get to know the who and what you are, you realize you're swimming in this this energy that's connected to all that is. And your perception of your connection to that all that is shifts as well. And we're learning right now, your talk is about the physical, and to honor it and to utilize it as sacred. And the teachings get you truly feeling into all that. What's natural? What's not natural? See, our society really hasn't talked about what is natural. What are these ancient ways of living? What's natural? What's not natural? What are we swimming in every single day? And what's corrupted? What are we consuming? Whether it's our attention, um, our awareness, our food, our the light that's around us, the air. I mean, what is natural and what's not natural? What are we choosing to surround ourselves with, and then living from the more natural, ancient ways of living. I mean, what are we putting our attention to and living that way, so that we're changing our behaviors and attitudes and beliefs, that's going to be good for the planet. It's going to be good for not only ourselves and those around. I got a lot of love going on here all of a sudden. So the teachings teach us to create new behaviors and just be aware, to that bigger part and that bigger connection to who and what we are. And it's totally changes your experience when you're feeling that connection and that love and that, those beliefs of that connectedness. I mean, we're actually we're a communication device if you think about it. And you know we're learning with the ancient teachings how to connect to the bigger part of who we are, which is the nonlinear. But we're still swimming in the physical, and that's the sacred. That's how we connect to those other things. And I mean, I just absolutely love these teachings because it's going to totally change your whole way of life if you, desire to make those changes, to perceive that unconditional love that's all around us, because it's there, and there's so much beauty and there's so much forgiveness, and all of these ancient teachings help you to incorporate that into your experience, because it is changing your perceptions and your awareness and what you value and how you spend your time. So, and in doing that, we're helping all of humanity. Oh, I love these teachings. I love what they've done to my life because I just feel so much more alive. There's so much variety. And it's almost like living from mystery to mystery. It's just everywhere. I have so much excitement. It's you don't realize that you're going to have an impact on other people, when you think you're just going to clean up your little area of the world. But you're making a difference for all of humanity. You're making choices that are win-win-win, as opposed to seeing just a small tiny bit of out of the hole in the box. I mean, we paint ourselves in such a small box. Well, what if we are unlimited? What if we have just amazing potential that you were just talking about? And I believe we do. We have so much potential, and I think our society and our way of living has made our world so small that that change that you're talking about, that dynamic balance, um, the people are so used to having it look a certain way and feel a certain way, and that little way is so small, it's so limiting. It doesn't even show you a tiny little glimpse of the who and what you really are. So that first question of who are you, what are you, that's the first thing we learn in Gaddafi. And it's a big question. Anyway, thank you so much for your teaching today, Kay. It's just, I know it's just a tiny little drop in the bucket, but I want people to know that that tiny little bit that you're seeing right now, it encompasses all of your being, all of your awareness, all your consciousness, and how you live your life and how you impact all of humanity by what you choose and desire to experience. Because like what we were saying too, we're the creators of our experience. We are choosing by what we value and how we spend our time and what we consume in so many different ways. These teachings are just have the potential to totally change your life and the planet. And I kind of went off. Sorry, Laura. Your turn.
Thank you, Laura.
I was about to say thank you. Don't apologize for that. That was incredible. And Kay, man, I got chills listening. You know, I I'm not like many people. I practiced a few things, not a lot of things. When I was younger, my mom was sick a lot, and and my dad worked a lot. So we ended up on weekends at a lot of different people's houses. And so I have a very vast religious background because of it. It's whose ever house we were on Sunday or Saturday, we ended up going to church with them and their practices. It was like, and yeah, so I got to see a lot of different religions and spiritual practices, throughout my life. And then, later practicing a few different forms of shamanism and, mediumship and other things. They separate these things, they separate it, and I really, I remember the first time in Katasi, when we talked about spirituality versus spiritualities, and this, when I felt into it, when I really go back and feel into it, all of my religious and other practices, it was out there, an out there kind of thing. It wasn't a me. It's something you practiced on a thing that was out there. Heaven was out there. These things were out there, outside of you. You practiced getting to them, reaching to them. This whole experience of, these things are being a component of who you are, here, really here. And when you were saying, talking, I love your explanation better of balance, because Katasi, we're all about balance. But what, that balance isn't a scale where, you put on two mentals to one, spiritual, to make the thing even out. It's like, we do approach things like that. Like, if I spend a day doing physical work, I should spend a day doing spiritual work. We try to make them even. And when you were talking, it was like I could feel it. Feel this fluidness and I love it dances itself into balance. It's like we talk about coherence. It was like all of a sudden, I know it's crazy, but I saw one of those old lava lamps, 70s lava lamps in my mind, where, like the human body was this lava lamp and it has these colors. The lava lamp never gets bigger. It's like it contains the same size, but inside the lava lamp, all of a sudden the purple gets bigger. It was like, for all of you who don't know what a lava lamp is, but the colors just keep twirling and one color becomes bigger and one, color becomes smaller, but it's this dance of colors inside this light. And I could feel like that's what you do moment to moment when you really start acknowledging what people would call the four bodies, the spiritual body, the mental body, the physical body, and the emotional body. And that's Katasi. We recognize each of those. And these other practices, all I did, it was either spiritual or physical. And, and sometimes when I felt students coming, into the beginning, they would want to just do like the physical healing, and someone who would just want to do the emotional healing. But when you really get into these things, what we do as a Katasi shaman is we're bringing that coherence, the balance, what true balance is, that lava lamp, where we're trying, you turn on a little, you never turn off anything, but the ratio, it's like a good symphony, in the body. When you have all those instruments, if they all play the same loudness at one time, it's this dance of them coming in and out and fluid with each other that makes some of the most beautiful music. It's just like, that's that's that sacredness, is what I believe you're saying. I may have got it all wrong, but that's what gave me chills. It was like, that's it. It's putting pieces to me. And I love how, you were saying that we have these other bodies, and then we come into form in this body. And then we get this other component, this physical component to add to this dance and really experience something even more impactful. And how it's engaging all of them all the time in different ratios, but not, it's just, but so much of our culture, like you said, isn't aware of all four, isn't aware that all four is theirs. And then goes through and corrupts anything. And so it's like we can't even bring them into balance if we don't know about them. We can't heal them unless we know about them. And to know that not only we have them, but they're sacred. And these teachings teach so much. It's like I've learned so much, and I feel like I'm still just a baby, doing this, the last 10 years. I still feel so young in it and so much to learn, but it's incredible. And today I want a transcript of this one. Thanks, Kay. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you. I can't hear you, honey.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Laura. Beautiful. I like how you pointed out that people out there that have been studying all these other different kinds of things, a lot of society programming ideas, that kind of stuff, that they think of them as separate bodies. I mean, that's the word that has been used for as long as I can remember. And it really makes you think that it's a real separate thing that you could just kind of lift up and it would come right out. Here's your emotional body. See, it's right there. And that's not how the ancients saw themselves or us. It is these different aspects, these different functions are happening simultaneously. They are dancing together simultaneously. Just this balance here, balance there, and the coherence that makes. This is, it's like this for a minute is coherent, and it has to come back, and things have to, go this way and that way, and it's a dance of balance, a dance of coherence. And if we, this is what is so sacred. These things are not separate. They are us, including the physical body. I know. Yeah. You can do different things so that you can't do your emotions or your thoughts, or and that's all good. These different aspects have their different potentials of how they can be used, how they can experience things, how they can feel things. We're used to the concepts, not correct concepts, that feelings are they're feelings like physical touch, physical sight, physical hearing, physical taste, physical smell, those physical senses, and then emotions. We call emotions the same thing, feelings. But the rest of us feels, even the mental part of our being, has certain abilities to feel, but it's very, very different than the way we have learned to think. We've learned to think very linearly and very mechanically, and uh, in a super logical way. 1 + 1 always equals 2, and it can't ever equal anything else. And this is the absolute way it is. When we're perceiving these things together, when we are utilizing these things, these aspects together all at once, there's there's feeling to that. There's a feeling experience in us that we can't pinpoint as something physical, can't pinpoint it as something emotional or a thought, linear thought, or a spiritual something experience. They are they're things that we feel. And this we concentrate on that in the ancient studies. That's what the ancients did. That's what they taught. That you have to exercise your ability to feel beyond the physical senses and beyond what you think of as emotional and what you think of as mental. And this is the package they call the spirit senses, senses of the spirit, the spiritual, non-linear, non-material, but it could include the physical as well. It could include the emotional. It could include linear thought in with that other spiritual awareness. But our ability to be aware and to sense so much more than what is just physical or that small emotional dip in the pool that we've been taught to do from our culture, or the boxed in mental activity, or the non-existent spiritual activity. We have to reclaim it all. It's all sacred, and it all works together. It all dances together. It harmonizes together. And we have to take care of all of it. You have to respect it with like species specific food for the physical part of you. But that extends to the other parts. Because if you're not eating the species specific food for you and you're eating garbage and plastic and all the weird junk, over processed plastic garbage, it blocks your ability to feel any of these deeper non-physical things, like the deeper, broader aspects of the emotions, and the deeper, broader aspects of your thinking, the deeper, broader aspects of your spiritual uh, abilities, and deeper than the physical. My teachers put me uh, on this line of teaching, this sequence that I wrote about in the second book, and it had to do with physical senses. And we've diminished our physical senses, no surprise, tremendously. So we're bringing that back in the exercises they're teaching me to reach more and more, deeper and deeper and farther into that physical experience of the of a physical sense. And what is it? What is there when the physical sensation is as far as it goes? What's there? Because there's something there, and it's big, and it leads right into the spirit senses. What's there is the spirit senses. When you go on a spirit journey, you're not taking your physical senses with you, but you're taking your spirit. You're going someplace in your with your song, your spirit, the, the energetics, and the emotions, and as you are learning more and more how to do it, you're opening up your spirit eyes and your spirit ears and your spirit sense of touch and your spirit sense of taste and smell. And say you're landing on a cliff and you're going into a cave, and you took your shoes off, so you got bare feet. You can feel it. Feels like you're walking, like your body's walking on the floor of the cave. You could feel the rocks and stuff, and you could touch the side of the cave, and it's you could touch all of it, touch where the carvings are, the paint, and you could feel that. You're seeing it, and you see the colors and the shapes and dimness of light at the end of the tunnel. You can kind of breathe the air. It's not your physical breathing, it's the spirit doing those things. The spirit sounds. You hear your footsteps, going uh, through the the rock on the cave, and you hear all of that. You hear all the nonlinear things. You hear and you see, and you can smell and touch the spirit beings that show up there. These are all part of the spirit senses. And you can learn how to tune into them through the physical senses. You can feel that being that's there. You can feel all the love and the heart warmth, and that's when you go deep into your own emotions, down that well, into the water of the emotions, deeper, 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 deeper. At the bottom of the pool is a doorway to the spiritual senses. And those emotions grow when the feeling of it. We have to learn how to turn our regular feelings, the volume, you got to turn it back up. It's it way down. It's way down. Not good. It's bad. Not sacred. Turn it up. You're making it sacred. Yay. We have to get back to realizing that this is who and what we are and what we can do. And when we feel things on these very deep spiritual levels, with these different kind of spirit feelings, the ancient Egyptians said that we had 360 different senses of the spirit. Spirit senses, 360. So what I've been describing, we're looking at the first 5 physical, and the second 5, is the spirit, beginning of the spiritual senses, and then there's all the rest of that. Okay, what are they sensing? What are they sensing? What are they tuning into? What does that feel like? What's the experience of it? That's what real spiritual teaching is all about, is the feeling. Getting back into the feeling, making everything sacred. If you used your spiritual feeling to feel that junk food that you were just about ready to put in your mouth, super over processed, laced with all kinds of synthetic plastic things, and literally plastic, a lot of sugar, no No real food value, not unhealthy for the body, hard for the body to eliminate, makes body go through a lot of work to push all that stuff out. You're not honoring your sacredness with the junk food. And if you're consuming alcohol or other kinds of recreational drugs, you are not honoring your true beingness. You're not honoring the sacredness of your spirit and your emotions and your mental capacity and your physical body. You're dishonoring them. That's where corruption has fallen in. And I know these things have been super toted, and they're passed on, and they're promoted heartily by all the people around us in our culture who are doing the same thing. They want you to do it too. These things are all very, very, very addictive. And that's why they're being pushed. They're addictive. They diminish your abilities and your mind and your power, your ability to reach the spiritual. And all that's on purpose because somebody wants to keep you a slave. You may not think, oh, I don't have a slave life. I don't. Hmm? Oh, it's time. Okay. But you do. We all do. We all the whole culture. There are people who are it's a very small group, but they call themselves the elites, and they are promoting all of this stuff that diminishes us, takes our power away, gives the power to them, and that goes against the sacred. Goes against aliveness and consciousness. Goes against everything that people think of as divine or holy, blessed. So there we are.
I love what Laura Philpott said about that these talks give you a small glimpse into the teachings, which is true, of course. But if you really pay attention and listen intently to learning and to the knowledge that's shared, there's some hard stuff in there. Very nice.
Things
But
that
we are
change.
definitely past our time. Thank you. Thank you, Loris. Thank you, Kay.
You are so very welcome. Thank you, Loris. Thank you, Helmut. Thank you, everybody listening.
Thank you to everybody joining us live and listening later. If you want to learn more, there's a bunch of links in the description below, including one about the book and one about getting the first 3 chapters of the book for free. And I believe there's also a link to the book club, which Laura Philpott guides. And they're having a lot of fun, and they're going through the Weavings book right now. All right. Thanks again, everybody. I love you.
Love you all.
See you next time.
Thank you all.